I'd like to call to order this meeting of the Mercer County Board of Education. Mr. Whitenack, roll call, please.
District 1, Amber Franceschi.
Here.
District 2, Larry Yeager. Here. District 3, Billy Montgomery. Here. District 4, Cliff Pruitt.
Here.
District 5, Randy Phillips.
Here. Our Pledge of Allegiance will be led by Mr. Whitenack. Everyone can stand, please.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, before we have the motion to approve before I ask for a motion to approve tonight's agenda, please note that due to item number 10 on the agenda, the DFP meeting will need to start at 6:30, so we will take a recess no later than 6:25. If we're not to that item yet, the board meeting then will reconvene at 7 o'clock after the hearing. The hearing must be 30 minutes due to KDE policy, so I want to make that note. And so with that, can I please have a motion for approval of the agenda?
I'll make a motion.
Mr. Pruitt makes a motion. Can I have a second?
Second.
Mr. Montgomery, second. All in favor? Recognitions, Mr. Boer.
Good evening, everybody. We've got a great crowd here. We've got a lot to recognize. And first up is our Dairy Queen, Superior Titan Award winners from each school. We call it the Dairy Queen Spirit Titan Award winner award because they get a free blizzard with that, as well as a certificate and a sticker for their car, or their parents' car. To be a Superior Titan Award winner, a student must have perfect attendance during the month. The students being observed completed all their homework assignments and tests, passed all their grades, had passing grades on all assignments and tests, no discipline issues, demonstrate good leadership skills, and exhibit a winning attitude and spirit toward learning and their peers. So first up, from our elementary school, the Superior Titan Award winner is Cooper Whitenack. Take a picture, and then Cooper, I'll be around to the schools tomorrow to give you your free blizzard certificate. Good job, Cooper. From the intermediate school, our Superior Titan Award winner is Alice Monroe. Our Superior Titan Award winner for King Middle School is Tabitha Grant. I saw Tabitha in the hallway today. She said, Mr. Booher, I'm going to be at your meeting tonight. I said, oh, you are? She said, yeah, I'm the Superior Titan Award winner for the month. So congratulations, Tabitha. And then from the high school, the Superior Titan Award winner is Alina Trent. Good job, Alina. Next up, our archery team has done a tremendous job this season. So if I could have them all that are here come on up front with Coach Miller. You all can come on up, stand across the front. I'm going to read a couple of things, a little snapshot of what's happened over the last couple of weeks that you all have done. Here's our archery team. In archery in the region, the girls were predicted 8th and came on Mercer strong to finish 3rd, with Kelsey Dennis placing 3rd with a 289 out of 300 as an individual and heading to state. The boys finished 1st in the region, 40 points ahead of any other team with a new team high regional score of 2001. Tyler Middleton placed 3rd with 291 out of 300. And our KHSA region champion, Troy Diaz Ward shot a 296 out of 300. Only 4 points missed on that. Great job there to win the region championship. And then last weekend, we competed in the NAS state tournament in Louisville. They competed in the 3D and bullseye competitions. The high school in 3D had a great showing, placing 14th in the state with a score of 1637. Troy Diaz Ward again, placing 11th out of 200 archers. In the bullseye competition, a new team high score of 3,360 points. Troy Diaz Ward and Tyler Middleton both tied for 6th out of the 200 archers in that division with a score of 293 out of 300. They will be going to Bowling Green for the KHSA state tournament next on April 18th. So we want to wish them the best of luck, and I'm going to go through, and as I call your name, just raise your hand if you don't mind, so everybody can recognize you. So Troy Diaz Ward, it's a region champ there. There you go, Troy. So the rest of the team's Tyler Middleton, Matthew Devine, Nicholas Winburn, Rylan Ginkgo, Jace Good, Cameron Maddox, Levi Robinson, Nolan Johnson, Garrett Clark, Aiden Grubbs, Caleb Revel, and then Coach Miller. So again, congratulations. Let's give them a great hand right there for their job. Is Kelsey Dennis up there as well?
Yes.
Oh, yeah, Kelsey Dennis. I didn't say it. All right, good luck at state to all of you. Good job. Next up, I see him in the back. Come on up. Our 2023 12th Region Girls Basketball Region Champions. Of course, this isn't the whole team, but I've been informed a lot of them's in track and softball. I see one up here is in tennis, at least two up here is in tennis. So we've got multi-sport athletes that are different things this evening. But again, we want to wish Coach Spivey and the girls a great run in the region and at the Sweet 16 at Rupp Arena. I think that was our first time getting to play at actually Rupp. It was always in Northern Kentucky or Bowling Green in years past. But I'm sure you all, we had a great showing. I'm sure you all have memories, lifetime memories from playing at Rupp Arena and winning the regional championship. So again, congratulations. Those team members were Alexis Benham, T. East, Jersey McGinnis, Anna Drakeford, Ella Davis, Hope Lanham, Timberland East, Sarah Dunn, Izzy Carlton, Skylar Webb, Peyton Boyd, Kate Carlton, Lindsay Jesse. We've got Coach Davis and Coach Spivey. So again, congratulations to you all, and we're looking forward to a big run next year. So last week at Rotary, we had a speech contest that was able to write a speech. So Sadie Peevler would come on up. Sadie Peevler won the Rotary speech competition. She wrote an unbelievable speech and then recited it without seeing any words, without any notes. So that was great. And we were able to present her with a $300 check at the school the next day. So, and she won it. Sadie, that's 2 years in a row, right? So 2 years in a row. So good luck at the next one. We've got one staff recognition. Mr. Corey Burns is going to present KEA Teacher of the Month.
Here we go. I'm Corey Burns. I'm a teacher at the elementary school and also the president of the Mercer County Education Association, which is an affiliate of KEA. And each month we like to recognize a teacher from our district that's also an active KEA member. And this month is a teacher from the elementary, Miss Allison Rowland. I have the pleasure of working with Allison. She is a special ed teacher. She graduated in 2020 with her master's in special ed, and she now teaches at the elementary. She's taught there 2 years, 3 years total. So, Allison Rowland.
Good job, Ms. Rowland. That's all the recognitions.
Okay. Now, for the kids who haven't recognized, there is a backdrop against that back wall. You're more than welcome to get some pictures there. We'll take a brief recess so you guys can do that. You're more than welcome to come back to the board meeting, or if you're finished, you can head on the published agenda. If you wish to have an item placed on the agenda, you must first meet with the superintendent. At this time, the board will recognize Matthew Miller.
I want to start out by asking again for some of the answers to the questions I've asked in the past. I've dealt with this before. The school board isn't the only person I've dealt with when it comes to not getting answers. The health department decided to push me aside, and so did the FAA. So it sounds like somebody's trying to hide something. So with that being said, I had a couple questions. Where were the results from the vaccine clinic interest survey, which I still have yet to get? I know I went back and forth with the attorney on that. I'm giving an opportunity for y'all to at least give me a question now, which I'm sure y'all won't answer. Y'all got any feedback on that? Where those survey results were? Awesome.
Sorry, I didn't completely understand what you were saying there. You just spoke some facts.
So before you all brought in, the genocidal jads, you all sent a survey out to the public, and on this survey there was a flaw in the IT, and I brought this up before. So when you put your information in, you had an ability to choose yes or no that you were interested in this survey, okay, or in this clinic that y'all wanted to hold within the school. I had found that when you tried to put a no answer, it still forced a yes. So my question is where are those results? Because the board, the board decided to tell me that the health department had it. I contacted the health department. They had no recollection of it. And I contacted the board or the attorney about it as a follow-up, and the board had told me again that there's no such thing, that they can't be found. So it makes me wonder if the reports were even there in the first place. So, you got that answer, Mr. Brewer?
The board will only act and respond to items on the published agenda.
I know the rules. I got you. So since the school, the other question was, since the school won't schedule a time to obtain photos of the bathrooms, which I tried to do before, which, we already covered that, will the school be willing to provide the photos of that bathroom renovation? Because again, I'm trying to do my homework because it's my tax dollars as well as all their tax dollars that are going to it. And I have yet to, be able to evaluate what's being done. Because again, the people are the ones that should be saying yes or no to this, not the board members. You all should be getting word from us. So again, no photos. So it makes me wonder what y'all are trying to hide or why you're adamant about not giving them. I do have a new question, and this actually pertains to the last meeting. I noticed that we have 12 or 13 therapists or counselors that are part of the school, which kind of makes me raise a question on why we need so much mental health within the schools. So with that being said, is it because of the indoctrination that's affecting the minds? Because don't worry, I'll be asking for more information regarding the curriculum. I know there's indoctrinating material in there, and it's only a matter of time before I find it. Or is it, is it impacts from the masking? Did that have, some kind of detrimental impact on the kids? Because I had 2 psychologists that actually confirmed that, which again, you already were aware of this for quite some time. So just kind of curious if y'all will give me that information. It'd be great. If not, I guess it'll just sit in the back. Let's see, next thing, I wanted to recommend actually changing the public speaking portion to the end of the meeting, and here's why. As you all address the items on the agenda, I know I generate a lot of questions at the meeting, but if the public participation is at the beginning, we can't inquire about the information in which y'all hold at the meeting during that present day. So just a recommendation, if y'all could, just switch it to the end so some of these parents can actually start asking about the information that's being passed in the present instead of having to wait until the following month to come up in hopes that they remember to ask these questions. And then I wanted to drop out some more information regarding the COVID stuff. And you can find this information. There's a gentleman by the name of Edward Dowd, and he was on the Kim Iverson show. You'll have to look him up to gather this info. But during this little conversation that they're having, the individual, Edward, had talked about a small piece of information regarding the vaccine. It had to do with the fact that this had a patent on it since day one, actually before COVID was a thing. And inside that patent, there was a HIV protein that was utilized in the formation of this, current vaccine, so-called vaccine. So I'm just throwing the information out there as far as a new term called vaccine autoimmune deficiency syndrome. And you can look further into that if you want the information. I have it. And I also wanted to point out the fact that we just had an unexpected death from the director of Kentucky Office of Rural Health. He was only 46 years old. And the reason why I throw this one out there is because we're starting to see a spike in sudden deaths, unexpected deaths, and I don't know how they're unexpected, especially when they're happening by the thousands. So just wanted to throw that over while you go reading it.
We'll start our report section of our meeting right now. Start up with our finance officer's report. Randy?
Good evening. The ending general fund cash balance for the month of February was $8.5 million as opposed to $6.8 million last year at the same time. Overall revenue was up 10% compared to the prior year at the same time, and receipts received in the year were 25% higher as opposed to the prior year. The district has received at the end of February 79.8% of the revenue budgeted for the year, and we are at 66.7% through the year. General fund expenses are up 6% compared to the prior year at the same time, and in the month of February, the expenses were $1.85 million. We do have some of our KISTA payments that come out in that month, along with some bond payments and that kind of thing, so it's one of our higher months as far as expenses go. The district has expended and encumbered 59.8% of the expenses budgeted for the year, and again, we're at 66.7% through the fiscal year. Any questions?
Looks good.
Thanks.
Appreciate it. Personnel report. Here just for your all's review. Okay, up next, Energy Savings Project, Jason Mulch from CMTA.
Thank you all for having me down. This is an annual report that we give on a project that was really completed back in the 2018-2019 area. We've renovated the HVAC systems at King Middle School and Mercer Intermediate, as well as really renovations throughout the district. Just as a reminder, I know that some of you all were there for this, but this is basically how it was. You guys had a budget for your utilities that you were paying every year to KU and to Bluegrass Energy, and we basically siphoned off some of that number by guaranteeing that we were going to improve your performance of your facilities, reduce the costs that go to the utility companies, and put that back into your facilities. So the bucket of money that you were spending on your utilities was the same before and after, but instead of sending it to the utility companies like you are on the top pie chart, we're sending it back into your facilities, which is in that green. And if we're doing our job well enough, there'll be some positive cash flow that comes back to the general fund. So just a reminder, the The scope overview of the project was a full-on renovation of King Middle School, a equipment replacement of the HVAC system at Mercer Intermediate. HVAC controls are all centralized. Mr. Haziel can attest to that. He's in charge of it now. LED lighting throughout the district, some utility rate savings, and then new freezers and coolers at the middle school and elementary school. So this is our guarantee. The red line was your performance before our project. The black line was our guarantee, and then the blue line is the actual performance. So you can see the blue line is below the guarantee, therefore we met and exceeded our savings. So that's good news. Your utilities are built in two different, the electric specifically is built in two different formats. One is the instantaneous demand, and then the other is the KWH. KWH is what you're billed at your house. The utilities are a little bit sophisticated, and they're trying to make sure that they keep on charging the same amount of money, so they go after the demand side as well. We were able to effectively reduce that as well, and we beat that savings. Here on the natural gas side, which is the next slide, you can see that we did not meet our savings. Fortunately for you guys, your natural gas is quite cheap, so when we look at it all together, you were still financially on the right side of the savings. So one thing we look at is the performance of your facility, and this is something that you guys are going to be looking at specifically when it comes to your new facility as well, as your EUI. So that's the amount of energy that goes into a building divided by square footage. It allows you to compare your high school to some of your other facilities that are a little bit smaller. The red line is what it was before our project, and the green line is what it is now. So you can see that in every situation, except for the athletic complex, which we didn't do very much work there, it went significantly reduced the savings. And that's shown up here, a 39% reduction year over year from the baseline to where we're at right now. We were able to get ENERGY STAR labels for almost every facility across your district, except for the elementary school. That was not able to be done. Hopefully the new one will be able to make that happen. But you can kind of see there's a little bit of a dip when it came to COVID time in 2020, but we've kind of settled that in a good pattern for 2021 and 2022. What you're mostly concerned about was the dollar amount. So there was a debt payment for these improvements that was $246,000. The year savings for year 3 was $273,000. That left $27,000 to the good. And looking over the 3-year period, we've had excess savings in each of the last 3 years, so that's all good things for the general fund. I do want to point out one thing. This has nothing to do with your energy project, but it's a program that has just been released by the federal government. It's called the Inflation Reduction Act. This is something that Mrs. Miner and Mr. Brewer might know already about, but generally the federal government is putting in programs to help people reduce their energy consumption, and they're going to fund you to do that. And what they've done in this bill is it expanded it to non-tax-paying entities. So you as a non-tax-paying entity, as a school board, can actually qualify for a tax credit. We don't need to get into the politics of that, but in general, this is something that you can take advantage of. They will pay for up to 50% of your HVAC system if you put in geothermal. So that would come back to you as a credit after the installation of that HVAC system. The same thing applies to solar arrays and a lot of other technology. So in the case that I've got there, this is for a campus down in southeastern Kentucky. They had a first cost, they were going to go back with a similar boiler chiller system. That was about $3 million. In the end, they went with a geothermal system that was almost double the cost. But because of this Inflation Reduction Act, they were able to get 50% of that back in year 2. So it's something, I know that you guys got a big project coming up, so something to think about when you're going through that.
Is that a time limited policy?
Yeah, 2032, it's going to be, the way that it works is there are strings attached. When you want to get this full tax credit, they want you to pay prevailing wage on everything, which we wouldn't necessarily want to do that in a brand new building, but they have some good cutouts. Basically, if your building's under 114,000 square feet, which an elementary school is probably in that basis, you can be excluded from that prevailing wage requirement. They also require you to do some Buy American stuff, but on a geothermal system, that's pretty easy to hit. The HDP, the piping, the ductwork all qualifies in that, so you can go from 30% up to 40%. And existing energy communities, that's another bonus. If you're in a place that has a coal-fired power plant, you guys are actually nearby one, so that might be something that you would qualify for as well. Any other questions on the report or on the Inflation Reduction Act? If you want more information on this, we can get it for you, or else we'll be able to help you out with that as well. Anything else? Great. Thanks.
Good news.
Yeah.
Thank you. Superintendent report, Mr. Fuller.
Just a few things. I know a couple things that was on my report was already been mentioned, which was the archery and the basketball team and the speech contest winner from Rotary. Facilities update. I know we're going to hear from Beth a little bit later on the new elementary school. Baseball, softball, soccer project. First baseball game scheduled to take place on the new field April 18th. Softball is going to play their first game on their new field this Saturday at 2 o'clock. So if you'd like to go to the first game on our turf field, the new complex, that'll be this Saturday at 2 o'clock, weather permitting. And then soccer bathrooms should be finished, I believe, at the end of next week. So those should be ready to go for middle school soccer season coming up. The King Middle School bathroom renovation bids, we had 5 potential bidders come to the pre-bid. Then the bid day came and we had no bidders, which is unbelievable, which means a lot of people are booked up right now for this coming summer with work. So there's a few options from that. I talked to Beth about those. One of which is we rebid it out, maybe in November or December for next summer. Another option would be we just do it ourselves and sub it out now that we have no bids. Another option would just be scratch it and don't do it, which I don't think we need to do that because of how the age of the plumbing and just the bathrooms in general, the conditions that they're in. So those are some things that we'll be talking about later on. We had no bids. I just wanted to report that on the King Middle School bathroom renovation project. Academics, we had the ACT was given to all the juniors on March 7th. That went really well. It was over there. They gave it in the gym and had all the kids in there. They got all those ACTs given. That day, hopefully we'll get the scores back, and they're really good. We've got our fingers crossed for that. Next month, we'll be hopefully getting through all this cold weather. I mean, it's been colder the last couple mornings than it has in January and February. But next month, we'll ask you all to get the last day of school hammered down. We're looking at, ideally, as long as we can get through these next few weeks, to have an early release day around 12:45 on Tuesday, May 23rd. In the afternoon, we're going to go over some things with the teachers for the next day, which will be Wednesday, May 24th, the teacher work day, that we'll need for them to work on that day. And then Thursday, May 25th, will be closing day. So that's what we're looking at right now. We're just making sure we've had snow days right past spring break before. So hopefully we won't have any more, but those will be added on at the end of the school year. So next board meeting, we'll go ahead and get that voted on. I know Mr. Tatum's here and high school graduation. We're looking still at Saturday of Memorial Day weekend. Saturday afternoon. Went over to Bergen High School last night with our Spelling Bee school winners from King Middle School, Emily Bowman and Zayden Barron. Those were the 2 King Middle School winners, and they competed in the county spelling bee last night. I already went over the athletics, so that's all I got.
Thank you, sir. Up next will be our consent agenda. Everyone should have had an opportunity to look at those items. Is there any discussions or questions on any of those? You don't have anything to discuss on this item? If no discussion or questions, can I have a motion to approve the consent agenda? Mr. Montgomery makes a motion. Can I have a second?
Second.
Mr. Pruitt, second. All in favor? Our next item here, my computer's set. Okay, up next will be our District Facilities Plan Hearing Officer. The board needs to name a hearing officer for the District Facilities Plan hearing that will follow this board meeting at 6:30 p.m. It is your recommendation, Mr. Boer, that our Finance Officer, Amber Minor, be appointed the District Facility Plan Hearing Officer. Is there any questions or discussion about that? Okay. If not, can I have a motion to approve Amber Minor for the DFP hearing officer?
I'll make that motion.
Mr. Yeager makes a motion. May I have a second, please?
Second.
Second, Mr. Montgomery. All in favor? Okay, up next, we do have multiple items for a roll call vote. And the first one is a DFP amendment.
So the LPC, we got the DFP, the District Facility Plan, back from KDE. We had our second LPC meeting, I think it was last Monday, right? Last Tuesday. We had that last Tuesday. They approved what KDE sent back with those revisions, which you'll see there with the lines through them. So now they approve that. Now it goes to you all. If you all approve that, of course, we'll go into the hearing that Mr. Phillips talked about earlier. And then we'll come out of and look at the hearing report after that. So this is the next step, is approving the district facility plan once it was edited from KDE that we received in the LPC, voted on it last Tuesday.
Do we have any questions or discussion on this before we vote? Okay, I do need a motion for approval of this amendment. Can I have a motion?
Make the motion.
Mr. Montgomery makes a motion. Can I have a second, please?
Second.
Mr. Yeager, second. Mr. White Knight, if you'll have the roll call, please.
District 1, Amber Franceschi.
Yes.
District 2, Larry Yeager.
Yes.
District 3, Billy Montgomery.
Yes.
District 4, Cliff Pruitt.
Yes.
District 5, Randy Phillips.
Yes. Up next, elementary school project update from Russ Toronto.
So tonight we're here to go over the programming for the new Mercer County Elementary School. So this is an overall schedule to a project. So we are in the very first step, which is the programming phase. And part of the tasks that we do during this phase involves gathering information, so talking to teachers and the principal and the superintendent, and also looking at the program, so what basically the pieces of the puzzle, what we're going to be designing for as far as the amount of classrooms, just trying to get the puzzle pieces together. So we start by analyzing your existing building. Through the DFP, we are now looking at an elementary school that is for grades P through 2, and your current elementary is serving P through 2. So everything at this facility will apply to the new school, but we want to see how you're using your existing building, what works, what doesn't, what is oversized, undersized. So this is your current building, and this is in diagrammatic form, so we're just looking at the use of each space and how it's currently used today. So the program that we're looking at, and this is hard to read, so we're going to zoom in on each section as we go through this. We look at 3 different categories. So on the left is the model program, and based on the DFP amendment, KDE is approving a new elementary for 625 students. So that left-hand column is for 625. Your current elementary is in the middle, and that's also serving 625 students. And then on the right-hand side column, that is the new proposed elementary for 625. That's the top half. This next slide is the bottom half of that, so that it goes as far as spaces for students, classrooms, and then it goes, this bottom half is for community spaces such as the library and the gym and the cafeteria. So we'll start by looking at classrooms. In our diagram, we're coloring those as light blue, and also as we go through this project, we will stick with this color scheme, so I think it'll help just kind of have that consistency for color coding these different spaces. So the current arrangement of the school is in a pod arrangement. So there's 4 classrooms that have a resource room in the middle. This is actually really kind of innovative. We don't see this set up in schools very often. Usually you have a double-loaded corridor with classrooms down on each side. So having these little pods off of a single-loaded corridor is interesting, and it does work well in how the resource room serves those 4. The problem is the inner side does not have windows. So that's, something that as we go forward we'll look at. So here we're looking at just the classroom portion of the program analysis. On the left, we're showing the model program. So we didn't assign a grade to it because KDE just looks at students. So if you have 625 students, you divide that by a classroom size with 25 kids, you need 25 classrooms at 800 square feet. So it's very nuts and bolts. It's just based on people, square footage, and quantities. So in the middle, we looked at how your classrooms are set up and arranged. You have 8 kindergarten, 9 first grade, and 8 second grade classrooms. The first grade class, from what I understand, is larger than the other one, so that's why that 25th classroom is used as a first grade currently. So in our proposed plan on the right, we're showing 8 for each grade level and 1 flex classroom, which is that 25th classroom that can be used in all sorts of ways. In the chart, we have it listed as the flex classroom, but potentially it could be an open office for admin when it opens, depending on where we arrange it in the floor plan as we move forward. So that is the classroom space. The FMD classroom suite is over on the corner of the building, and there's 3 classroom-sized spaces that are used for 2 FMD classrooms and 1 sensory room. So in the program analysis, KDE for this size building only calls for 1. So the fact that you have 3 classroom-sized building or rooms and 4 restrooms associated with that area, it's quite a bit over the square footage. So for the proposed plan, we are showing 1. There's an asterisk that we're going to come back to that in a minute as we work down the list. So we will have the other spaces accommodated, but they will be a little smaller. And that's something to note as we go through this program. Your current school is over 100,000 square feet. We're looking at a new school that's 70,000 square feet. So something has to be cut and something has to be reduced. So moving on to resource rooms, also called special education. These are green, color-coded here, and you can see where they do, they're centered in the middle of the pods and also kind of scattered throughout the building currently. So for the model program, KDE calls for 6 resource rooms at 400 square feet. So basically it's a classroom cut down the middle. So a lot of times you can have a divider. So you use that module of an 800 square foot classroom, cut it in half, and it can be 2 resource rooms. Or you could, potentially if you had that divider, open it up to 1 large classroom. In the middle column, you have a wide range of sizes. And some of that's just due to the nature that the building is so large. So you've been able to use maybe a classroom size for a resource room. But it ranges from 360 up to almost 800. And that's more than double. So KDE calls for a total of 2,400 square feet. You've got close to 6,000 at the moment. So what we're looking at for the new elementary is providing quite a bit more resource rooms, but at a smaller size, so that there's a higher quantity that can be used in a much more flexible way. And this is based on a school that we had toured that did this, where the resource room is set up in between 2 classrooms. So 2 classrooms can share it. It can be multifunctional in that students can go in there, be pulled in there throughout the day. They don't have to travel down the hallway to a resource room that might be at the end of the hall, so you save the time of the student travel, and instead the administrator or the staff person is the one that goes around and travels to those resource rooms. They can, by letting it be around, like scattered with each of the classrooms, it allows more flexibility and it's more accessible to all of the students. So we're showing 12 as the standard ones, they're all the same size. So 12 for standard, so it's 2 per classroom, and with the 24 standard classrooms, that works out 2 for the preschool classrooms and 1 for FMD. So next is preschool. This one, there's daycare and a preschool office that's in this program here. So the purple does have 7 squares, but when I switch to this, we're showing what is just preschool. So for a elementary of this size, you actually only get 2 preschool classrooms. But because your intermediate school doesn't have preschool because of the grades that it serves, KDE is allowing you to make up that deficiency at your intermediate by putting those 2 classrooms at your elementary. So in that case, we have 4 preschool classrooms. We currently have 5 in an office and a daycare. Daycare is on down the list for how we counted that, but we're showing right now that there would just be 4 new preschool classrooms. Those would also have a bathroom, so that's why it's a larger size at 825. That's counting a bathroom with the 800 square foot classroom. So the next item that we look at in the program analysis is for kind of more of the special classrooms and areas. So the art and music, anything that's used kind of like a stage or FRC. And so those are pink, just to kind of consolidate that on the 2 left-hand side. We just put it all together to show you basically that amount of square footage in the building. And then looking at the new, the art classroom, we're proposing that it would be a little bigger than the model program to accommodate a kiln and art room storage. The music room is something that through our tours we saw where the music room can do double duty and serve as a stage if it's next to the gym. So that's the intent with the music room being bigger than the model program, is that it could be a multifunctional space and be set up in a good way to serve both as a classroom and as a stage for productions using the gym. The computer classroom is one that we are not counting here as a classroom, but we're going to put that into the media center square footage to try to also get some double duty and efficient use of space. So for the locally identified, KDE just gives you an amount that each school can do whatever they want with based on needs in that particular district and at that particular school area. So we're allowed to have 3,125. What we have identified from that, which is basically anything beyond the items that we've gone through so far, the daycare room would be a locally identified room, so that's the 800 square foot daycare classroom with a restroom, the FMD sensory room and the FMD classroom at 825 and at 400, and the PLC room at 400. So those are those spaces designated there on the right-hand side. So moving into the community areas, the media center, currently the media center is out front, so when you drive in, that's the first thing that you see at the elementary, and it is very large. The model program for this size school only calls for around 3,000, I think it's 800, and your current one is over 5, so it's quite a bit larger. From the scale of the blocks, you can see that it's definitely oversized. So what we're looking at as a way to maximize the square footage is to create a smaller media center, just because in trends of media centers, they're less about storage of items like books and more about gathering and how to have small group studies, and things are going more digital. So a lot of schools are opting to have a smaller media center now. So by combining computers with the media center, which is usually something that they coexist together, we're able to merge those 2 spaces, let them be flexible, and have them basically really help in our square footage total. So that is a big move in this program. The cafeteria and kitchen are on the side there. And this one actually is pretty close. Your current size is in range with the model program, and we're proposing something very close, just slightly smaller on the cafeteria if we can save a little bit of square footage there. The larger spaces give us more opportunity to cut down. So the gym is definitely a really big existing area, just because it wasn't initially designed as an elementary. So your current gym has locker rooms and offices and restrooms. So all of that adds up to almost 11,000 square feet, and KDE's model program is for 5,700. So that's about double the size. We're looking at a gym that will have a high school court, which is good because you really, with the gym, you want to do it right the first time. So you can't add on to make it bigger. So if you want it to be high school down the road, now's the time to do it. And then have bleachers in there that can open, it would cross the court, but that would work to have bleachers for your auditorium stage, that's your music room. So the gym can function as both a gym with the court and the bleachers pulled out partially, and then you can open them all the way and have your music room stage function as an auditorium. So this is another use of trying to be as flexible and as multifunctional and double duty on anything that we can to minimize that square footage, because every square foot is going to cost money. So the next area on that list is for admin. The admin in your current building is massive. And I think some of this is just due to the nature of the size of the building, but you can see there all the spaces that were counted as admin, and then even with the graphics of the blocks, just how much of a difference from the model program to your current setup to what we're proposing. I do want to mention that flex classroom at 800 square feet could be counted towards this admin. We're counting it as a classroom because it will be designed and set up as a classroom, but it could be used as an open office admin space. But this is an area that is going to be tough based on what we currently have. And really the model program is kind of behind in the times. There's a lot of admin, a lot of this is over 20 years old. So they don't even have an SRO office included in the model program, but almost every school that we work with has an SRO office. Multiple assistant principals need offices. So that does not account for that. But it's something that the model program, you're always way over on admin when you start designing a school that needs a lot of staff. So this is going to be an area that I think we'll end up struggling with a bit in the design, trying to get this all to fit and to work. But I just want to point out there's a major significant difference in your current setup versus the proposed. The circulation at the existing building is quite a bit over as far as the allowable square footage for that, and it's due to the fact of the single loaded corridors. That really just, it adds up fast. And so looking at, and then your support spaces, these two go together. The rectangles at the bottom show you just how big that is. And so there's about 5,000 square feet more in your current building than there should be for circulation. And that's just because of how it's laid out, how it's a single loaded corridor, how it's along. So what the model program allows is for an efficiency factor that includes your circulation, restrooms, mechanical rooms, actually wall thickness, anything that is not a programmatic space that needs to come from this efficiency factor. At the elementary level, it's 74%. So we are going to aim to be within that 18,000 square foot range. If we can cut things down, this is a great area to save because you don't miss that space. It's, circulation is something that it's nice if you have a long corridor, but also if we can cut that down when we get into design, we will.
Yeah, you have to remember that the circulation here used to be outside.
Yes, and this was designed initially not that way, it got enclosed. So that's the analysis of your existing building, and looking at the pieces to our puzzle, this is all of them combined. And this part of programming is where we set up these pieces. The next step is to put the puzzle together. And we'll be back, and let me go to, oh, sorry. Let me go back to our puzzle pieces. So
when you
as,
come back, will it be 2 stories?
possibly. So we're going to look at both 1-story and 2-story layouts. And the biggest thing there will be the cost. The site will accommodate both, but we want to look at the cost of that. And, with the layout, as far as stacking, it would be something that would lend itself really well to a 2-story in the classroom wing area. That would work really well. What that does is it cuts down on the roof and it cuts down on foundations. And that's a big savings. You do have to have stairs and an elevator, which are expensive, and that actually goes towards your efficiency factor. But usually the roof and foundation savings outlay the additional stairs and elevator. So,
Beth,
mhm.
another question there too, which I think we discussed this once before. You are looking at the possibility of constructing this in a way that if in the future we want to bring the grades back in with this one, that we can add to the building.
Yeah, we will look at ways to add on if there's an addition area. So that's part of the next step, which is the schematic design as we get that footprint laid out to identify where and how much of a potential alternate down the road or future phase where that could go. But that will be part of the site design as well, because we don't want to have, a road where a future addition might go. Yeah.
I know we don't have a whole lot of time, but I did want to ask, so the proposal of the computer room and the media center being merged together, are you also in conversations about how that, like the percentages?
Yeah,
Because I'm thinking, just in my opinion, with the current grades that we're looking at, I don't know how big of a computer area you would need, and maybe I'm not familiar with how much they're using that technology in those grades, but I would think that maybe we would want the media center to be 75% and 25% computer area or something
And
like that.
we'll look at that as we start to lay out the space, and if it can even be divided to break it down and have classroom use of that space, or if it can be used for STEM or, some other function, anything that will help it be that multifunctional space and save on square footage, but still serve the needs of the students. That's what we're looking for, and that media center spot is a great way to kind of merge as many programs as possible. So we'll be working through that over the next couple of months. So I did want to, and we'll kind of breeze through these. We did go to a couple of schools just to look at precedents. So Steeplechase is in Boone County, and this is actually the media center that is about, I would say, 800 to 1,000 square feet, so about the size of a classroom. And it was small, but it worked really well for them. All of their casework was on wheels, and so they were able to move it around and get larger groups in there. On the right, that is a picture of the resource room. That is 180 square feet, and that's what we're looking at putting in between 2 classrooms instead of one large 400 square foot classroom, or resource room. These are just some more photos of Steeplechase. And then we went to Bardstown Elementary, and this one had a really large commons cafeteria area, and what that did really well, the cafeteria.
Beth, I apologize. We do have to call recess because this DFB meeting has to start at 6:30 on the dot. Certainly, if you want to pick back up after that meeting convenes, it'll be 7 o'clock.
Yes.
And certainly, we'll stay if we have more questions or discussion. We have to vote on this and 3 other items. So if you just want to remember where you were, we can pick it up. But we'll reconvene. So I apologize for jumping in, but I needed to make that point. So we will take a recess right now for the district facility plan hearing, and then we'll resume this meeting once that concludes.
Yes, I'll scan all of it, the ones that are in the proposal, the other I'll scan the entire series.
to me, I don't know. You can bring that up. Is that
Mine,
not?
mine, you walk back in. Mine meant to go.
How do
maybe
we walk
no.
in, we'll get to someone's meeting, and
That's,
everybody out?
well, that's what happened to me earlier.
Keep track of it,
I just had a really pretty good time.
Okay, it's now 7 PM, so we are going to adjourn the public hearing for the district facilities plan.
Thank you. We will now reconvene our regular board meeting. I know Beth, you were still finishing your presentation, so you have the floor.
Okay, so we were on Bardstown. These are some more photos showing the commons area, which is used for double duty, which is a really good thing to see. So the commons was part of that circulation, so they were able to save on square footage with having the cafeteria commons as an open central part of the building. That is their gym as well. And then these are the classrooms, and the top right and the bottom left are the media center, and that's an example where there's a computer room inside of the media center. It's actual built walls, but that's something that could be considered as we start designing the media center for the new elementary. And the next one, just real fast, this is one that Mr. Brewer had sent us. This is actually in Michigan. Another elementary example. This one is very spacious and bright, and the use of red throughout is really nice to see. There's a lot of glazing, a lot of windows and daylighting, and just an example that we've been looking at to get ideas for your new Mercer Elementary. So this is our schedule going forward. The next phase is schematic design. We will be back in May with schematic design documents for approval. At that point, it's going to be a floor plan and a site plan. So then after that, we'll move into the design development phase, and that's where we'll really start moving the design forward, starting to look more at the spatial, like extruding all the spaces. How does that look in 3D, in elevation, in section, and developing the documents there. That'll be in August. And then construction documents will continue the rest of the year. So we'll be on track to bring that to you for approval in December. At that point, we would be going out to bid. So we would be submitting to KDE just for record, and then for HBC for a building permit, and then to the printer so that it's out for bid. And looking at a March 24 bid opening, and construction to start April of 24, and 24 months of construction. So very exciting. So we've got a lot of work to do, but we'll be back in a couple of months, hopefully with the floor plan figured out. So that's all we have. If there's any questions.
Can you go back to the Bardstown's gym?
Yeah.
What's in one auditorium/gym? It's purple bleachers. Just so you all know. Part of the design right there, you can see the bleachers, how it's a two-fold gymnasium, which those bleachers there come out, you can see where they would come out to the sideline for Little League games or elementary games. So it would have like maybe 5 or 6 rows of bleachers. Then they can pull that all the way out, about to where those kids are sitting, or maybe a little further. And that holds their entire school for assemblies, graduations, plays, because the other side has the stage to it. So it's like a two-part gymnasium for, you can use volleyball, basketball, what have you, or you can pull the bleachers all the way across and have this
So the
auditorium.
bleachers are just on one side?
Yes,
right?
the stage.
The stage is on the other side.
And then behind not curtains, it'll be a retractable wall. Behind the wall is your music room that's on the stage during the school day, but at nighttime, it can be your stage.
Oh,
That's a good idea.
I feel like the old intermediate school, the old Harrisburg school had these types of things. So why didn't you could pull out and push back? They weren't near this big or not, but I think, if I remember correctly, they could be.
oh, some of them, well, the ones, some of them in the other schools like too, are, some of them are stationary up above, and then they've got pull-outs on the others.
Yeah, the only difference between what we have now and this one is that it comes all the way across.
Yeah, yeah.
Once,
Is it
now
because
come up to there.
the number or the whole system is on wheels?
It's on motorized wheels,
Okay.
so you just push a button and they come on.
Okay.
Yeah, and you don't have to pull them like back in the old days.
Used to have
I know Beth had said, do a high school, size floor, and that way, any of our levels, from kindergarten all the way up to senior high, they could use that as in the summertime,
I like that
for
idea.
volleyball and, basketball in there. A couple other things, those resource rooms, that's an innovative, you're looking at ways to, for instruction time to minimize instruction time loss. So that on the right side is a resource room between two classrooms. So every two classrooms will have that resource room with a little kidney-shaped table. So any therapist, any special ed teacher, anyone that needed to pull a kid out for extra services, that is right there next to their classroom, instead of, like most schools have it, where it's maybe at the back of the building and you gotta walk all the way over there to get a kid, and all the way back down, and then back, take them back. This is how you minimize instruction time losses, to have a small resource room in between two classrooms compared to having a large one way down across the school campus. You can also see on the left, something new now, which is a great idea. I don't know why they haven't done that in the past. Is all your furniture now in schools all has wheels on it, to where you can move it out of the way and have large classrooms. You can have small group, you can move, reconfigure, tables come together, desks come together and make small group, large group, or large room. I know Ms. Franceschi said something about, earlier about the computer room. KD hasn't updated what the new times are, because, computer rooms, most schools used to be able to afford 30 computers and that's it. So you had to take your class down to the computer room. Now we're one-to-one, everybody's got their own laptop. So the days of computer labs or rooms are really over in most schools. They've taken those out. Everybody's got a laptop now, and they use those as classrooms or a resource room, what have you, in that. So that's just a couple things I've written down. A lot of natural light. Of course, you've got to work with the safety officer with that if it's facing the industry road, which we'll do that. But it's exciting times. It's exciting that starting the design phase, schematic phase of this, and we've looked at a lot of new schools that have just opened up, and they're beautiful, and ours will be as well.
That's an excellent presentation, especially like the gym. I love that being
Yeah.
I think that's a fantastic.
I really like that. And I was really impressed with the resource rooms as well, the way that.
Yeah, I like how quick
That's
quick
really
access.
going to save a lot of time.
And the instruction times.
Yes, instead of you having like a auditorium and a gym,
It's one.
one place does it all. And especially with, like, we're talking about, making a high school size gym, and it's gonna make it a pretty good size area.
And if we later add on for the intermediate grade, that will really pay ourselves back for that decision, I think. And I have to agree with you, Mr. Rivers, that the red in that school really popped. That looked very nice. So I'd love to see something like cosmetically like that. That was very nice.
There was a video online of that school. It was beautiful. They just opened up.
Do we have any other further questions or discussions about this before we vote? If not, can I please have a motion to approve?
I'll make the motion.
Mr. Pruitt makes the motion. May I have a second?
Second.
Mr. Montgomery, second. Do you mind doing a roll call for us, please?
District 1, Amber Franceschi.
Yes.
District 2, Larry Yeager. District 3, Billy Montgomery.
Yes.
District 4, Cliff Pruitt.
Yes.
District 5, Randy Phillips.
Yes. Up next, the elementary school BG1.
So this is the initial BG1 for the new elementary, and a lot of this information we've kind of discussed already, but it's going to be a P through 2 center for 625 students. The facility plan had to be amended to make this change for this school to happen, so that was kind of step one, amend it, now we can do this program. So under, as we kind of keep going down this document, item number 1 is that it's a new building. So we're not renovating or adding on, it's brand new. It is priority 1B item 1, which has been amended after tonight's approval. And then it's going to, the description is that it'll be a new elementary for grades P through 2 for 625 students, and then it will include those additional 2 preschool classrooms that are currently not at MCIS. So the next page is the financial information.
So we just need to clear out number 6.
Oh, yes, sorry, I missed that. Copied the old one. Yeah,
Anybody off?
yeah,
Oh.
yeah, not a restroom renovation.
Oh, that's what the others is.
So for the left-hand side, that is where you put all of your probable costs, and the right-hand side is for the funding. So I'm just gonna go line by line, if you're good with that, or we can just kind of summarize it. But the first cost is the construction cost, which is $29,772,950. And that is strictly based on the total square footage, which we just looked at in the program analysis, times, we're doing $425 a square foot, and that is the total there. At this point, we're just looking at square footage. We don't have a design at the moment. Next time we come back, we will have a floor plan. At that point, we'll be able to really tailor this number specific to the building. This is just kind of a generalized square foot cost. So it can and will change. Now, as far as the cost of that goes, design decisions that are made, which could be painful decisions or could be putting things into alternates, that is how we will manage that construction cost. And so that's something that, as we begin designing this project, like I said, anything that we can do to cut down on corridors, have spaces do double duty, that saves square footage, that saves cost. That's one of the biggest ways that we can try to get that construction cost down, is just trying to be as, looking at dual purposes, multifunction, we'll try to do that as much as possible in the layout. As well, once we get into material selections, that's a big one too. Looking at 2-story versus 1-story, even the site, as we start to situate this building on the site, picking the optimal site location to minimize the site work, all of that will go into play with that number. But right now, it's just broad picture, that's what we're looking at. The next item, number 2, is construction contingency. KDE requires 5%. Your fiscal agent added a couple $1,000s to it, so it's like 5-point-something%. And that's just to get the right side to match the left side as far as round numbers. You have to have 5% contingency. That's a KDE requirement, and that's built in so that as construction goes, it begins, things happen, that's what that money is there for, is to spend it on this project as things pop up during construction. Next is the A&E fee. That is based on the fee schedule, just based on construction cost times the fee schedule. Same for the construction manager fee. You add in the construction months to that as well, and that's straight from a fee schedule. The fiscal agent has filled out the fee amount and the bond discount. We are taking a guess at the equipment and furnishings. We contacted a furniture rep to see for this size building what they would recommend. As we get into the design and we look at what will be furnishings versus built-in, what's part of the project, what isn't, some of that may go into the construction costs, some of it might go into the equipment and furnishings, but that's where anything new that you're purchasing that's not like literally nailed down to the building would be put into that, that line item. So we've taken an educated guess on that one. Same for computers and equipment. That one will probably be updated as we go. The next one, line number 9, there will be a cost there. And talking to CMTA, it's just way too early at this point to know what that will be. That's going to be really towards the end of the project, we'll have a better idea, but that will have a cost, and that will be working with the district as well. Site acquisition was done separately, so that line is blank and it always will be blank. The site survey, that's a hard number. That was $11,000. It's done. We have that information. That item we're good to go. Geotech, that's a guess based on the size of the building at 70,000 square feet. Once we move from schematic design into design development and we have a building footprint and we have a location, we will work with our structural engineer to pick all of the spots for the borings. At that point, we'll issue RFPs. We'll know that cost, but we're taking a good guess at that. Special inspections is the same way. Looking at similar sized buildings, that's about the range of special inspections. That is a code requirement. It has to be a third-party special inspector, and that is something that once we go out to bid, at that point we'll get RFPs from possible spin entities and then present that to you for approval. HVC review, we have to submit, that's the building permit. That's based on square footage. The plan distribution and reimbursements, that's for when it goes out to bid and reimbursables through design. Commissioning is also a code requirement based on the size of the building. That's something that would also be an RFP at the time of bidding to get that. Builder's risk insurance that's something that you'll have to carry through construction. And bank and rating, that's from the fiscal agent. So all of that totals up to $35,576,729. So that is the total project cost, including those soft costs. So it's a lot, and a lot of those are based on either the square footage or the construction cost. So as that either gets smaller or bigger, some of these numbers are a ratio of that. So they would either, they would grow with it. So the other side, for the funds available, your fiscal agent is looking at a bond sale, an FSPK bond sale of $34,875,000 with a bond sale for the SFCC of $700,000, and then there's a cash requirement. So that is the funding and the construction costs.
And I'll add, this is an estimate, this
Yes.
isn't bids.
Yeah,
So
yeah, this is
we
just-
can work with them and Trace Creek, which is our construction manager, to try to reduce those costs. So this is just what, thinking what we have right now, what it would be at, at the time of bids, you never know what, this is at $425 a square foot for construction cost is what we base this on.
So number 3, I want to ask this, and you can roll your eyes at me. So number 3 and 4 are based off the total cost of the project. So if material doubles in price, then those 2 items go up,
They do.
even though the contribution from architect and engineer and construction manager doesn't,
Yeah.
nothing.
Yeah, that's just how their fee schedule is. So,
So I know with architect, engineer fee, I know there are multiple, there's a company and there's multiple people involved in
Yeah,
that project.
consultants.
Right. Is that similar for the construction manager fee, or do you have a couple people that are overseeing the project?
David, do you want to speak to the CM question?
Good evening. I'm David Milo, I'm Vice President of Trace Creek Construction in Central Kentucky, and this is a project that will be under my oversight. And to answer your question, yes, that fee is, part of that fee is on-site management, on-site oversight of the project manager, and then all the support that goes behind that from the office staff and from the bidding documents, preparing the bid, doing all of the preparation prior to bid, the site facilities, project office trailer, all the coordination, the monitoring, and the monthly meetings that it takes to keep you guys updated on what's going on.
So there's a large team involved.
Yes.
Thank you.
And that fee is set by KDE. Regardless of who you use, that fee is the same.
So you all are a big fan of inflation, right?
Not really.
It's a little grocery store.
I feel like I'm in the wrong line of work, that's all.
Like, honestly,
Honestly, our goal is to literally get this building at a lesser dollar per square foot, because nothing helps us more than for you all to get everything you want. It helps us in the future. Not what we make today, but what reputation that our company carries into developing this building and building this building and getting everything. So I can assure you that we will be part of the hard questions. And yes, every dollar that we cut out of this cuts funding from us, but at the end of the day, our goal is to get you all to school. Period.
Appreciate it, thank you.
Anything further?
I'd just like to say, I appreciate both Ross Tarrant and Trace Creek. I know through all this, I'd say, well, I saw a school up in northern Kentucky that just opened, Steeplechase Elementary. I'd like to go see it with our own eyes and let you all see it. They were like, okay, we'll meet you there, what time and what date? And they did that. Bardstown Elementary just opened, and they did the same thing. They met me down at Bardstown. So they've been over backwards for us. They've been a great help, of course, with the athletics projects. But we're looking forward to working with you all for the elementary.
Okay, if we have no further questions or discussion, can I get a motion to approve BG1? Ms. Franceschi makes a motion, can I have a second?
Second.
Mr. Montgomery, second, roll call, sir.
District 1, Amber Franceschi.
Yes.
District 2, Larry Yeager.
yes.
District 3, Billy Montgomery.
Yes.
District 4, Cliff Pruitt.
Yes.
District 5, Randy Phillips.
Yes. Okay, our final roll call vote, action item will be the mowing bids that have been attached, and I think everyone has seen them. Mr. Henry, you want to speak on this, sir?
Yeah, just a couple of minutes if you all don't mind. Normally I wouldn't come and present this, you all would see this, and Mr. Brewer and I would consult and give you guys a recommendation, but I just wanted to point out that we had the bidding open for a little over a month, late January. We closed the bid March 3rd. We opened the bids at 10 o'clock that morning. We had 4 companies that bid. All 4 had the requirements that were required to be able to do the job as far as insurance, employees, equipment. The one thing I really wanted to talk to you guys on, something we haven't done in the past, is the option of contracting weekly with this company. Instead of paying one lump sum throughout the year, they would do we would pay a weekly price for their weekly mowings. Last summer would be a perfect example of where we probably went maybe 5 or 6 weeks without mowing that we still paid. So all the companies that bid understood that was probably an option. We were searching, or other districts do the same thing, and that frees up some funds to be able to use for other landscaping needs and those kind of situations. So that is my recommendation, that we do this at a weekly basis. Mr. Brewer and I, like I said, consulted, and every person that has bid does meet the requirements. I mean, we agree that, and I feel confident, I have spoken with everyone that they feel confident they can accomplish the job. So with that, I'll let him give the recommendation.
And all the companies are under the understanding this will be a month, like Mr. Garrett said, a weekly pay.
Yeah, and then we'll have to we'll still have to go into a contract with them based on, the agreement is we will continue to hire you. We're not going to just drop you unless you don't fulfill, and we will have certain requirements to that. But yeah, they understand that if they don't mow this week, then there's not going to be paid for them. Not to say that we may not use that same company or put a request out for landscaping or tree trimming, those kind of things. So the funds could be transferred elsewhere, but it would still in the end save us quite a bit of money. So
I did notice, like, some of the number of weeks for the different
Yes,
Like one had 30, like the other were less,
Right.
and the others were more, so.
right. So all of them pretty much, when I was talking to some of the owners, they basically, when they give you a yearly bid, they base it on 28 weeks, usually. One company did put in a 30-week bid, but that same company also understood that if they didn't mow that week, they would not be getting paid. We were hiring them on a weekly mowing basis, so.
So none of these companies are hiring people in addition, just like for our. like,
You mean,
Will they
yeah.
have to hire more people if they're
I believe,
out, they lay
I mean,
off?
I know that if they feel like they're gonna need more help, they may have to hire in more people to help, yeah.
Okay.
But at this rate, the company that we're thinking makes it seem like he's already has employees that work for him, so.
Taylor's Lawn Care that has the not applicable at several locations.
Yeah, they were really only wanting to agree to mow certain areas, and was hoping that possibly we could break it up.
Right, do some.
Right, they would take some, another company might take other properties, so. We also put that option out there, it's just, we wanted a specific price per property, not what's your price for all of it, so,
Yeah, I really like the way y'all did it.
yeah. All right. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
So if you look at the Montgomery Landscaping from Danville, Kentucky, their weekly rate is $2,350. Of course, they've got their yearly to the side of that, $70,500. So we're recommending to contract with Montgomery Landscaping on a weekly basis for the weeks that they do mow for $2,350 per week.
I'll let you know that it's not me.
Thank you. We don't want to conflict of interest.
You're not going to go up here, Mike? You're not going to vote?
It's not me.
Okay, do we have any discussion on this? Okay. If we do not, can I get a motion to approve the bid to Montgomery Landscaping to be paid on a weekly basis for mowing services?
I'll make that motion.
Okay, Mr. Pruitt makes the motion. Can I have a second?
Second.
Ms. Franceschi, second. Roll call, sir.
District 1, Amber Franceschi.
Yes.
District 2, Larry Yeager.
Yes.
District 3, Billy Montgomery.
Yes.
District 4, Cliff Pruitt.
Yes.
District 5, Randy Phillips.
Yes.
I wasn't gonna make that motion.
Our final item to vote on, it's not a roll call vote, but the district facility plan hearing report, which was attached. So I don't know if anybody's had the chance to look at that or has any questions. You hardly have to refresh your page.
It's pretty straightforward.
Yeah.
It just states how many people were in attendance, some of the specifications of what the changes were on the district facilities plan, what you all voted earlier in the meeting as far as the amendment goes, and then this will be part of a packet that goes to the Kentucky Department of Education once you approve it.
Okay, any questions, discussion? Okay. If none, can I have a motion to approve the district facility plan public hearing?
I'll make that motion.
Mr. Montgomery makes a motion. Can I have a second, please?
Second.
Mr. Pruitt, second. All in favor? Okay. If no other items, can I have a motion for adjournment?
I'll make that motion.
Mr. Montgomery makes the motion. Can I have a second?
Second.
Mr. Yeager, second. All in favor? Meeting adjourned. Thank you.